Hello, Anne-Marie.
Hi.
You're muted.
Yes. Hello, Ida. Hello, Marin.
Hi.
Hello, Jacqueline. And hello, Nima.
Hi, nice to see you again, Anna.
Yeah, same here.
Okay, I think you have. Well, I just think that we will start. And I see, Adam, you have started recording? Yeah. Okay, we'll start. And for your information, before I start, just so you know, we will record this session. So if any objections, please raise your hand. No, thank you. Yeah, so welcome everyone, and welcome to this digital assignment presentation, which is today is going to be about waste management in Singida region in Tanzania. The assignment was conducted in collaboration with Returcraft and was part of a larger project which is run by Ströme Foundation, the ELCAP project. Well, ELCAP, then, if I remember correctly, stands for Enhanced Livelihood Through Commercial Agriculture Production. Hope that was correct, Jacqueline. So I'm not going to spend very much time on the introduction. It's better for me to leave the talking to the two engineers who have been working on this assignment. So I will give the word to Ida Anderskog and Marin Brevek. Please, Marin, share it and take it away.
Yeah. Thank you.
Is my screen visible?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Hello, everyone, and thank you very much for joining this presentation on our field trip to Tanzania. So we decided to present this by changing our roles throughout the presentation. So I will do a little bit of talking, then Ida will do some talking, and we will do that back and forth that way. So the summary of presentation will be, I will give a little bit of background information about this project. And then we are going to talk about waste management, where Ida is going to talk about landfills. I'm going to talk about types of waste. Then Ida is going to talk about handling of herbicide and pesticide containers. And then we are going to close with some conclusions about that. So the project in question here is ELCAP, which stands for Enhanced Livelihoods Through Commercial Agricultural Production, which is a large project led by Ströme Foundation in partnership with both Norwegian and Tanzanian private and public actors. The project itself is focused in the Singida city and Singida region of central Tanzania, as shown here in the picture. And it is focusing on improving the livelihood of farmers through several different areas, such as improving agriculture practices through climate smart agriculture, through food security and resilience topics, and through waste management. And the topic of this presentation here is the third of those, that is waste management. And it started when in summer 2024, EWB, which is one of the partner organizations in the ELCAP project, was approached by Ströme Foundation, who asked for one or two engineers with background in waste management who could join Ströme Foundation on the field trip to Tanzania to explore challenges and opportunities related to waste management in the area. And me and Ida then traveled there with Ströme Foundation for 1 week in the end of October 2024. And this report summarizes our main findings from the trip, not all of them. For those who want to know more, they can find those in the report that will be made available on EWB's website. And with that said, I'm going to pass the word to Ida, who is going to tell something about the first topic, and that are the landfills.
Yes, thank you very much, Marin, for a good introduction. So the current waste management in Singida region right now is landfills. That's the only formal way of waste management as we saw, and that's the first thing that we visited on this field trip. There are 2 landfills in the Singida region. One of them is an old sort of decommissioned landfill. And then we have the new landfill, which is active, which we visited, and you can see in the photos pictured here as well. The landfills are unmanaged, so even though they are formally used, they are not formally controlled. There are trucks that deliver waste weekly, municipal trucks to this landfill. And there is delivered about 3,600 tons per month, where about 132 tons are plastic and 10 tons are glass. So the fractions of recyclable material is quite little compared to the total, I would say. One thing that we expected when we were going to visit this landfill was that the landfills would be like mountains of waste, but as you can see in the photos here, it is quite flat. It is the same in the old landfill, and that is because a lot of the waste is burned on site. We have no conclusion of why this is, but our suspicions is that the waste is self-lit to increase the space of the or reduce the amount of space the waste takes on the landfill. You can go to the next slide. So, as I said, there is a lot of waste coming here each month, and there are some fractions of plastic waste, as you can see in these photos, and they are actually sorted on the landfill itself. It's the same as you see on the left photo with glass being sorted out at the landfill. And these are sorted by people, but these people are not formal employees of the municipality. These are informal pickers, as we chose to call them, which are sorting the waste at the landfill to further sell that to collectors to earn an income. They do use some sort of protective equipment, but there are no formal regulations or instructions on with regards to safety equipment. Yes, and also what I want to mention, even though they're sorted out some sort of plastic and glass waste, we also identified that there's no formal control of what waste comes into this landfill, which means that all types of waste, including hazardous waste such as electrical and chemical waste, were also found on these landfills. So it's not a residual landfill, it is actually more of a high-class landfill, if you want to formally categorize it. And we have looked, you can see in the report, we have looked at formal requirements for landfills. We found some regulations from South Africa and the EU. We did not find any formal documents from the Tanzanian government, but I'm sure they exist. And it's definitely worth looking into, seeing if this landfill is even a legal landfill or following the current regulations in Tanzania for landfills. Yes. Do you have anything to add to landfills, Marin?
No, nothing.
Okay. then we continue. Yes.
Okay, so back to me. After we visited the landfills, the plan was to look into more details into different types of waste and different value chains that exist or can be established for different types of waste. And the four major categories to present these have been plastic, glass, metal, and hazardous waste. And I put these simplified kind of stickers on each to indicate how is the situation to the best of our knowledge. And for plastic, there exist several collection places. There do seem to exist value chains, and the situation is, well, definitely best out of all types of waste we have investigated. When it comes to glass, we have not visited any collection places for glass, but some of the informal waste pickers did mention the buy and sell price they can get for glass. So it is something that needs to be further investigated. How does it actually work? What kind of glass is being bought and sold, etc. But as you can see here in the picture, the separated glass we saw was also sorted in unmanaged way and potentially quite unsafe way as well. Similar situation was with metal. We saw some value chain for it, and we saw that one of the waste collection places have been separating metal cans, for example. But at the same time, we did not see as much of it, and it seems that certain types of metal, like other aluminum products, are not accepted and not being sold further and recycled. And when it comes to metal, a different type of metals we looked at were metals from different hazardous waste and batteries, if I getting that right. And there we encountered, just as with the pesticides, certain challenges related to handling of hazardous waste. So that brings us to the fourth category. And when it comes to hazardous waste, it seems that there exist no value chains for hazardous waste, at least not proper ones. So the first kind of value chain for hazardous waste is related to electrical waste. And we visited a metal collector who is also handling batteries. And batteries are being bought by people in Dar es Salaam. But the way batteries are handled now is that the buyers want them empty of all the chemicals inside the batteries. So the batteries are opened on the spot and emptied into the ground or at specific locations without any regulations or control on that. And the other type of hazardous waste we looked at have been pesticide and herbicide containers, but that we will leave for the next subchapter where Ida is going to go into more details about that. When it comes to places we visited 3 plastic recycling places and we visited 1 metal collection places. Here, just as an example, there's a picture on the left of a plastic collection place which collects between 500 and 700 kilos of plastic each week. And they buy it from collectors. The main role of the plastic collection place is to sort the plastic in different colors, shred the plastic. As we can see here in the image, there is a shredding machine, and that plastic is sorted into these 90 kilos bags, which are then sent to Dar es Salaam. On the other picture, we can see a different similar plastic collection place, which was not shredding the plastic, but was instead pressing it into bales. And I think that this other place, or the third plastic place, mentioned a number of around 2 to 3 tons of plastic each month, where there are together, to the best of our knowledge, 7 plastic collection places in the city of Singida in total. And in all of these places we have visited, we interviewed the owners and employees about what exactly do they do, how much do they do it, etc. And they have been very transparent and generous in sharing the information about how much do they pay the waste pickers for plastic, and for how much do they sell plastic and other products to Dar es Salaam, the capital of Tanzania. So that is summarized in this table here. Buy price is the price plastic and waste collection centers are paying to the waste pickers. Sell price is the price for which they're selling to Dar es Salaam. We can see here, not to read all the numbers. The ranges here denote one of two things. It's either one price for up to 100 kilos, for example, slightly better price if you bring more than 100 kilos, but it can also denote different different waste collection places we have visited. In addition to the products shown here, they're also buying iron sheets. If they are in a very good shape, they can be bought for 10,000 Tanzanian shillings, or if they're really poor quality, they're bought for 700 per kilo and sold for 900 per kilos. But we didn't put those since it is not the critical information.
Yeah.
So these are some numbers from which one can then, of course, determine what kind of profit do resellers make if one knows what quantities they have, etc. So it provided us much better insight into the situation on the ground that we expected to hear from them. And one thing that this project could further look into, since the goal of this project initially has been to improve the livelihood of farmers who do not necessarily live in Singida. Actually, most of them live in a region of Singida, in a faraway villages and towns, would be to try to determine how much waste are farmers producing, what kinds of waste are farmers producing, and how much money could they earn if they tried to include the waste they produce into these value chains. And what are the alternatives? Individual farmers are probably not producing that many kilos of plastic on a monthly basis that it pays for them to travel to Singida to sell it for 400 shillings per kilo. But that is something that has to be investigated. In which way could farmers capitalize on the waste they produce, and how could they benefit from this information, and could this somehow help them decide what waste to collect, what waste to prioritize, etc. Is there something you would like to add, Ida?
Yes, that I think that when this information is gathered, it could be used as a sort of KPI to see how the value is added to the farmers as well. Yeah, I think that's mainly what I wanted to comment on. Firstly, yeah.
Okay, and that then closes the section on the types of waste, where this table is the main result. And now Ida is going to tell you a short story about herbicide and pesticide containers.
Yes. So I will refer to it as pesticide containers because it's a long sentence to be accurate. One of the areas of waste that we quite quickly on the field trip got the knowledge of was the pesticide containers and how this was a major issue for the farmers. And even though most farmers only produce 2 to 3 bottles of these type of pesticide containers a year, if you have an estimate of around 6,000 farmers, it is actually quite a lot of waste. As well, the current methods that we were informed of by firstly the farmers was that they were buried or burnt. And as you see here in the photos as well, you also have cases where it's thrown into nature. And these pesticide containers do contain chemicals, so they are considered chemical waste. You could also put them in the category of hazardous waste. So this was quite strange to us. Why are you burning or burying this waste? And then we asked the farmers where did they get this information from? And they had gotten the information from the pesticide resellers. So we then went to talk to several resellers in the city center of Singida, where they explained that since they are certified by the pesticide or Tropical Plant Health and Pesticide Authority, their recommendations for waste handling or for handling of empty pesticide containers were to burn or bury, and that was instructed by the authorities. And for us, still, we found this intriguing that that's a formal requirement or formal recommended way of handling chemical containers. So thanks to Abel, which have great contacts, he managed to set up a meeting with the Raphael from TPHPA, which is a very difficult name to say. So we had a meeting with him, and where we were told that their formal instructions was different than what the community is saying. So their formal ways of handling or recommended way of handling pesticide containers is to triple rinse the containers, use that liquid as a leftover pesticide or watered out pesticide, and then punch holes into the bottles such that they cannot be used for containing or storaging other products. And in addition to that, to store these empty triple washed containers at their own place. So this is the formal method. Maybe we can go to the next slide. But they do also recognize that this is the pesticide containers are an issue in the communities, especially in Singida, since it's a farming community. And they are currently working on a project. The project consists of different levels, I would say. One of them is, as you see here in the photo, some sort of collection point for these triple rinsed pesticide bottles. So one of our first suggestions from this field trip is to collaborate with the TPHPA on setting up one of these containers at, for example, the agricultural center that we visited while we were in Singida. This would allow to have a centralized point for the farmers where they can bring these triple rinsed bottles. In addition to that, they are also looking into safe ways of recycling these pesticide cans. It's quite difficult to recycle them because the pesticide breaks down the chemicals in the plastic, which makes it unfeasible or even dangerous to recycle in normal plastic ways. So they are connected with Plastic Recycling Institute, which is looking into if you can actually recycle this type of plastic. And also in addition to that, they are looking into a payback system where then the imported value or the sold value of the pesticide containers will increase a little bit. And then when you give back your pesticide containers, you will receive some money, which is quite similar to what we, for example, have in Norway with empty bottles. So they're looking into this, which is very exciting, and I do think that it can be valuable for the ELCAP project to be connected to that for the farmers in Singida. Yes, do you have anything to add on the pesticide bottles, Marin?
No, I can just add that Mr. Raphael was so generous,
yes,
that he met us on Friday evening at 8 o'clock until 10 o'clock or something like that. So it was very, very, very much appreciated by him.
Yes, definitely.
And okay, then
maybe it's also worth saying that he seemed very positive to have a collaboration with this project. So that's also worth mentioning.
Yeah. Should I jump to the next slide then?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Which then brings us to 5 main conclusions extracted from the report. These are not the only conclusions, but these are some kind of key findings that I would like to stress once again. And that is that raising awareness among farmers about different value chains could provide accessible income stream. Number 2, that the current landfills are completely unmanaged and we have reasons to believe they do not meet safety standards for proper waste management. Number 3, that there is a need to improve on handling of hazardous waste, both the ways batteries are handled and chemical containers, herbicide and pesticide containers, etc.
Yes,
Then,
and just let me add that having a formalized management of hazardous waste will also improve the safety standards at the landfills. Yes, so
yeah,
it
because
will.
these things are now disposed at the landfill.
Yes.
And as number 4, on the positive side, there are ongoing efforts and activities by the authorities to improve on those things. So one can reach out to them and try to pair up to improve on that. And 5th, again, on a somewhat positive side, organic waste did not seem to be a significant issue, neither in a landfill nor in the city center, which in general we found cleaner than we expected based on some image we had in our head, which of course was not well founded. With that said, I'm not sure if Ida would like to add something here.
Well, you've said it, but I will repeat it that these are just a couple of the findings. We have in the report, we have written quite clear actions in a good prioritized sequence. So I think there are much more than this that can be done, and even more simple actions in addition to this. But these are the most important ones. I also want to add with the raising awareness for the farmers. It's not just to raise awareness with regards to income. I think it's also a good place to raise awareness with regards to safety and consequences of themselves and the environment and ecosystems of not recycling or handling these types of waste in a safe way. Yeah.
Okay. And yeah, since I'm controlling the presentation, then with that I can thank you for your attention and open for any questions anyone might have.
Yes.
Thank you.
Maybe stop sharing the screen, perhaps, so we can see who is asking questions.
Sorry. Thank you, Ida, Marin. Great presentation. Yeah, up for questions, but I was just wondering before we go that if Returkraft, Gina, if you have anything that you want to add to the presentation. You're on mute.
Yeah. Hi. Could I share a screen so and I can tell you a bit more about the awareness raising?
That would be great. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Great. Okay. Can you see the screen now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. Let's see. I was just always hard ways to. Yeah, I can just do it like this. So hi, my name is Gina, and I'm a business educator at Returkraft. And that's a waste to energy plant located in Kristiansand. And each year I host approximately 2,500 students here at the plant who are more or less eager to learn about waste management. And my role is to demonstrate what happens to their residual waste and how waste can be transformed into a valuable resource. And this trip to Tanzania has been a really valuable learning experience for me, providing me with a broader perspective on waste management. I've been working a lot with waste management here in Norway, but traveling and seeing how it's done in different countries has been really valuable. And my contribution to this trip has involved sharing my knowledge as when working with awareness raising here in Norway and also waste management, as well as trying to leverage my background as an educator. And following up on the report that Maren and Ida just presented, I will try to collaborate with the Strømme Foundation to implement the findings from the report. When it comes to like my focus areas for awareness raising, based on the report that Ida and Maren just presented, I'm focusing mostly on trying to raise awareness for the existing value chains, like for plastics, glass, metals, and their potential as an income stream for the farmers in the Singida region, but also highlighting the importance of health and safety and environmental practices with a particular emphasis on hazardous waste. But also educating about the potential environmental impacts, just as Ida said, of the waste. I think that will be important as well. And there's a saying that says, culture eats the strategy for breakfast. And even though this is mainly used in like a business strategy setting, I think this is a very important perspective when it comes to trying to raise awareness about waste management in the Singida region. I can't make any plans for awareness raising without bringing in like the cultural aspect as well. So for me, when I traveled down to Tanzania, it was very important to try to learn more about the culture, the language, how does people live there, and really what do people in the Singida region care about. And that insight will help me to tailor the awareness raising efforts afterwards to be more effective. And I also just wanted to mention that I'm trying to explore ways to integrate the curriculum, the national curriculum, into the awareness program that I will work with Strømme Foundation afterwards to ensure that like the key messages from the report align with that curriculum. And here you can see some parts that I've just pulled out from actually the science curriculum in Tanzania. And as you can see, they have already had things that I can use as kind of a platform to talk about waste management into the curriculum. Yeah, so that was my comment on the presentation. A really great report from Maren and Ida. Thank you so much. And I'm looking forward to the process with the Strømme Foundation. Yeah, and making this report come to life. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It was great. Thank you. Any comments or remarks from Strømme Foundation based on what you have heard up to now?
I just want to say thank you for a very good presentation of this report. We have been very much looking forward to it. Jacqueline and Mia, we have been talking much about it, looking forward to it, and to get these findings here. We were along with you on this trip, Jacqueline and me, and so it's very recommendable what you're presenting, but it's for us it will be very good to have this and with all the recommendations and findings, because this is very useful for us when we go forward and work with our programs outside Singida in other countries and other programs. So waste management is an increasing focus in our programs now for this new strategic period. So this is very useful for us. So thank you.
Yes, and if I can just jump in and just say it was just such a wonderful experience to get to visit Singida with all of you. It was really eye-opening and such a good learning experience as well about what to look for, what to ask about. And, I think just the process of information finding itself was really such a valuable learning experience for us at SF. And we're going to take that process as well to the other areas that we work in. We work in 9 different countries, and, different context, even within the locations, even between the locations that we work with within each country is so different. So just the fact-finding mission that we went on, I just really have to thank you all. It was a very good learning experience for us, and it definitely will not be the last time we go through this process as SF.
Thank you as well, Jacqueline and Gina.
Right, thank you. Karl-Ove, you have your hand up, please.
Yeah, thank you, Nima. Thank you for the great presentation. One of you, I think it was Gina, mentioned that we are looking a little bit into the value chain. And the value chain actually starts when people drop the plastic bottles. In the whole value chain, where do you think it's best in some way to start to make tomorrow a better day? Is that in the beginning or in the end, or where in the complete value chain?
Well, for the farmers that we looked into, I think the best way is to look at how to collect, or the start, I would say, because we still saw a lot of plastic in certain areas. And a theory that I have is that if you can, since most of the people in this area are farmers, if you can find a way for them to collect their own plastic waste, either themselves and bring it into the city center, or have some sort of collaboration with the pickers, then I think you will reduce a lot of the plastic waste in this region. We did also see a lot of waste close to the car roads from when we drove from Arusha, which is a more difficult thing to handle. We still have the same issues even in Norway. That's these long roads, people just throw it everywhere. And we also suggest in this report to increase the number of public trash cans. There were not a lot of them, and there could definitely be more. So I think it's a dual problem, but I do think that if you improve on the reception side, where can you deliver your plastic waste, either by formal, such as the municipality and the public waste cans, and also find ways to do an effective collecting or co-collecting of plastic waste will help, because a lot of the most effective incentive for people to do this is added income. That's what we also noticed. And when we talk to people there, if you can show them what they can earn on this, they will do it if it's a relatively easy way to do it. But I do think people are willing to do more walking than maybe here to gain added income. Yeah.
If I may add something on that, but Jacqueline, would you like to say something before? Yeah, so one of the things that farmers told us, but we didn't mention it in the presentation, is the following. So basically, farmers are living in a rural area in a very scattered manner. So it's huge distances to cross and huge distances for them to walk somewhere. It's not likely they would walk individually to deliver a few bottles somewhere. But they actually told us that there are people who are traveling to the rural areas to collect bottles from individual farmers, and the kids collecting the bottles. Now, the farmers are not aware of the value of those bottles, or clearly they're aware of the value because someone is picking them up. They do not know what is the potential cost of it. So they usually give these bottles for free, or as they were told, the kids might get chewing gums or something like that, and they will collect bottles and give them to these people traveling around and collecting the bottles. Now, one thing to investigate would be, could farmers obtain better price for those bottles if they collected bottles themselves as a group, And then when these people who are traveling around collecting bottles arrive, they might negotiate better price. But that's something that one has to be careful about, because maybe the travel expenses for these people traveling around are probably not very high. And if the farmers try to obtain higher price, they might simply start skipping those farmers. So farmers would end up with more waste and no income. But that is an opportunity there, for example, to explore, could farmers leverage grouping together to obtain at least slightly better price for the plastic they produce and collect. On the completely other side of the value chain, all the plastic we have observed and talked about is being sent to Dar es Salaam, where it is further sold to largest plastic producers in Tanzania or even abroad. And one of the things that could be explored is the market in Singida large enough that it would pay for someone to recycle the plastic on the ground, melt it, and, for example, produce plastic products which could be sold in Singida. That has to be investigated. Singida is not a very big city. Imported plastic is very cheap, but those would be two examples on the very opposite sides of the value chain where further work is needed to see if there are any opportunities there. Jacqueline?
Yes, you basically said what I wanted to say, but then just adding on to it, the way that ELCAP is designed is that we have these farmer groups, and they each have a lead farmer, and they're located close to one another. So they're already used to working together as a team. They're used to saving together. They have social cohesion within their groups. So in our minds, it could be a simple solution that through each group, if they're able to collect the plastic, then we can do an assessment of what is actually worth it for them. Is it worth it for them to send it to Dar es Salaam themselves, or is it actually just more worth it for them to bring it to Singida or have it transported to Singida or Dar? So those are definitely some things that we're going to look at to maximize their profitability.
And I also want to add to this, because I know from the field trip we discussed this as well, that the current waste pickers are the most marginalized in the community. So by handing these value chains over to the farmers, you're removing waste or added income from these waste pickers. But when we look at the amounts of plastic waste that are being produced, I don't think that's an issue. They just move somewhere else, hopefully close to the road where there is a lot of plastic that they can gather, or as well, if they end up having a collaboration with the farmers, it is even more positive. But I do not think there's a lack of plastic, and it will probably increase in the future. Marianne?
Yes, thank you for the presentation, and really happy to hear how good the collaboration was also between all of you. I just a question on the unsanitary landfills. That's more or less the standard in a lot of African countries. There's very few places, I think, where you find them actually regulated or meeting certain standards at all. What do you think on the possibility of sort of liaising with the municipal authorities, and what do you think on the potential of actually getting anywhere with that issue?
Yeah.
I mean, there's lots of issues, and it's a
No,
complex area, but just it's also sort of a big one.
Yeah, it is a big one, and if you want to meet the requirements of proper landfills, it's a lot of them. But what we are suggesting, at least in our report, is two things. One is to try to have the hazardous waste removed. So if you find a value chain for most of the hazardous waste, this will be removed automatically from the landfills, and you will have at least the most dangerous chemicals out of this landfill. And obviously the second would be to look into barrier systems, but this is also very challenging. One thing that I think is that since you've had you do have an old landfill and now you have a new landfill. So if in the future there will be another landfill, maybe it's worth taking some time to do a simple, there are cheap barrier versions that you can do for the ground at least, so that it doesn't seep into the ground. And then that could be like a collaboration project to build up the ground in layers so that the waste in the landfill doesn't seep into the ground. But I don't think it's possible to do it at the current landfill. No, it's too much work. Do you have anything to add, Marin, or?
No, it's more sort of good to get your thoughts on it. It's a fairly common issue. Jacqueline, you raised your hand as well.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think this is actually a really good opportunity for us to kind of build on the relationship with the local government authorities. I think, to be honest, they're a little limited by resources, I think. But I know that they have been really eager to learn from the ELCAP project. They've been extremely supportive, especially at the ward and municipal level. And I think this is another thing that they're going to be very interested to learn from the ELCAP project. So we'll be sharing the reports with the local government authorities and, trying to, and also doing awareness raising with them as well. I think some of these things, I think what shocked me actually when we went is that there was a lot of low-hanging fruit, like very easy things that could be instituted fairly quickly, seemingly with very little cost, that could actually make quite a large impact. And I think that there is a lot going on behind the scenes especially at the national level, but also at the regional level, that we haven't tapped into yet, mostly because we didn't have the knowledge in-house about who to ask or what to ask. And now I think we are definitely a lot more empowered with this report and the findings and the mission itself, that we can kind of pursue these contacts a little bit more and see if we can get some of these things instituted at a larger scale.
It's great. Very good to hear.
Well, thank you. Any other questions? No? Okay, then there is nothing wrong with we have been effective, so efficient. So yeah, okay. So any final remarks from everybody? Anybody? I see Heidi. No, she was clapping. She didn't raise her hand.
I just want to say that appreciate all the work people are doing for EUG. It's well done. So thank you very much, all of you.
And I wanted to, we forgot to say before on the last slide, and Carl Öve mentioned that now, that we also like to thank both EWB for the opportunity to do the project, and then Stromme for taking us with them and being very for a well-organized trip, and both for the formal and informal part of the trip, which was very, very nice. Yes.
And also Returkraft with Gina, and also a special thanks is to the employees of Stromme in Tanzania. That's really valuable for us. It would not have gone as well if it wasn't for the fact that we got all the help from Abel and the rest of the team in Tanzania. It's a great model that you have.
And I just have to add fantastic feedback on Abel from the last assignment, on Abel's work on the last assignment as well.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And thank you so much, Nima. I just have to say, like, I know this was a little bit of a quicker request, but you really couldn't have found us two better people to support the project and this mission. So really, thank you so much, and thank you so much, Ida, Gina, and Marin.
Thank you once again.
Thank you.
Well, I would also like to thank everyone. Great job, great contributions, great project. And so with that, I would just like to then just close by informing you that we do have more presentations that are coming up. So on the 9th of December, 12 p.m., we will have one of the digital presentation, and there you will be able to hear from 4 EBV volunteers that have been working on an assignment intended to assist WWF program in what's called Africa Energy Transition. The presentation is an initial launch of a energy tool that has been developed and handed over to WWF and their partners. So hope to see everybody that's interested there as well. And thank you again for all your work, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
Bye-bye.
so much.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.